So I went ahead and started recording. This is what we're making today. We're making a ruffled sort of festive holiday pillow. It has an invisible zipper on the bottom to put the pillow in. And we're gonna do, today we're gonna cut it out. We're gonna cut the ruffles out. We're gonna prep the ruffles and start sewing them on. And then at our next session, we'll sew the zipper in and finish up the pillow. You will definitely need pinking shears today. And if everyone got their fabric at Joann's or somewhere similar, I can go ahead. And I got my fabric at Joann's and just show you how I'm cutting it out. I'm cheating, I'm not doing plaid, I'm trying something different. So we'll see how this
I'm not doing plaid either. So I have so much fabric at home. I'm just like using what I have as practice, because I know the first one's never perfect.
Yeah, definitely, use fabric that you already have at home if you can. But if you have fabric that's similar, that you probably got at Joann's or something, it's probably, let's see, this is 23. It's probably 46 inches wide. So this is mine. It's 46 inches wide. I folded it in half. So it's about 23 inches now, folded in half, right sides together. So if you want to do what I'm doing, you can, if you have the same kind of fabric. Let's see if I can get this better view. Folded in half, right sides together. I clipped into my seam allowance just a little bit to release it. And now you guys don't have a pattern. I made a pattern because I'm cutting this out multiple times, but you guys just need to, I'm going to put it in the chat. I just need you guys to please cut a 13-inch by 17-inch right sides together. Cut two.
Since my pillow's a different size, should I be making, it's a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So if my pillow's like 15 inches, I should just do 17?
Carol should cut, I'm sending it right now.
Okay.
So your pillow is 15 by 15?
It's actually 15.5 by 15.5.
Okay. It's 15.5. So 16.5 then. So 16.5 by 16.5. Right sides together. Make sure you cut two. I meant to say cut two. It says cut one.
Actually, I don't know if I did that correctly. I actually measure the cover. That should be the same, right? Like I measure the, because that pillow had a cover, so I took off the cover and measured the cover itself.
Measure the pillow form.
Pillow form. Because the pillow form, oh, it's the same. Okay.
Okay, so Carol's got a 15.5 by a 15.5 pillow form. So you're gonna add 1 inch on each side. So you're gonna cut 16.5 by 16.5. All of us folks, we're gonna do a 13 inches by 17-inch rectangle. And I'm laying mine on my fabric like this. right sides together because we want to cut two. And I'm going to go ahead, cut my piece out, and then I'll show you how to cut out the ruffles.
I should actually iron it first. I think my thing is all wrinkled.
Yeah,
I need to iron.
I ironed mine first. I always recommend that you guys iron first, and recommend to always do that maybe before you come to class. And then always clip into the selvage edge, just so that you're ready, so you can get going and be kind of ahead of the game. We have a lot to do today, so I'm hoping that we can get all of it done, so that we can be finished next time. So it's definitely an ambitious day with this project. I know our other projects were a lot easier, but now we're getting back into something a little more challenging. Okay, just gonna put my pattern away. And now I'm just gonna give my fabric that I just cut out a quick press with the iron, just to get out all those wrinkles. You can fold it up in the store for a long time. And it has creases in it. Okay, so now I'm going to, since I have my fabric here, I'm going to take my pinking shears. I'm going to be using them a lot, and I'm going to pink the bottom of these two pieces. I'm just going to move this. We're going to get back to that and cut out our ruffles here in a second. But since I have this out together, I'm going to pink both these edges down here, this long edge at the bottom, because our zipper is going to go at the bottom. Normally I would put the zipper at the top, but because the pillow has all these ruffles at the top, I just didn't want to have the zipper there and have it getting caught. So the zipper's actually at the bottom.
Can I have a quick question?
Yeah.
Are you doing the ruffles now or the pillows? The reason I asked is because I'm using two different fabrics for it.
This is the right now what I'm doing.
Yeah, are you doing the ruffle part or the pillow part?
This is the pillow.
This is the pillow. Okay.
Yeah, this is the pillow. So the zipper is going to go in at the bottom down here. So I want to paint these edges at the bottom of the pillow, not the ruffle. We're working on the pillow right now because I don't want it to fray where the zipper, where the opening is, right? So while this is here and it's easy to get that done, get it out of the way.
That's the bottom. Can I have just like a few minutes to iron? Because I know I'm gonna get behind really quick.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead and iron
it really quick. So then I can follow with you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Carol, are you almost done?
Almost, I'm cutting now.
Oh,
I'm almost there.
oh, you're cutting. Okay.
Yes. I always forget about the ironing part.
Yeah, just FYI, you guys that are regulars, I know new people won't know, but just if you know, there's a zipper involved, we're making a pillow, you got to have your own fabric, or, we're making pajama shorts, or just always iron your fabric and you'll be ahead of the game when we start class. Iron your fabric and trim the selvage edges, and clip into them. You're supposed to clip into them. And then you'll be ready to get going. So Carol, I'm gonna get going because I don't want to
Okay.
So after you've cut out your 13-inch by 17-inch piece, you should have two pieces, right? Because there's always a front and a back of these two squares, 17 by 13. And I pinked the bottom edge of the square. This is going to be the top. It's a rectangle, the top of my pillow, and this is the bottom of my pillow. And I pinked these two edges because we're going to put a zipper in here. So then you can set that aside. And then I just took my fabric and I turned it around. I have the selvage edge facing me right here against the edge of the table. And then hopefully you have one of these 2-inch by 18-inch clear graphic rulers by now. If not, maybe you have another tool that you really like. It just makes it a lot easier. But we need to cut 11 strips. So they're 2 inches by 44 inches long. So they're 2 inches wide by 44 inches long. So the way to make this easy is to fold your fabric in half. It's already folded in half because you cut out the body. So fold it in half. I just used my soft measuring tape, and I measure from the edge of the selvage edge. Check underneath to see where that selvage edge ends on the other side, and measure from there. And measure up 22 inches.
That's a new fabric that you're doing. You kind of put the pillow one aside.
It's not new fabric, it's the same fabric.
I know, but the one that you cut, you're not cutting out of the one you just cut.
No, this is going to be our pillow, Carol. Our pillow. We don't want to cut it up, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to set that aside. And now we're cutting out the ruffles because the ruffles are separate. These are ruffles that we cut separately that get sewn on.
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah.
See that? So this is the base, and then these pieces get sewn on top. So now I'm back at my fabric, and we're going to cut out the ruffles. So they're going to be 22 inches long. When we open up the fold, they'll be 44 inches long. But we're going to fold our fabric in half so that we only have to cut 22 inches. It's just easier, right? So my fabric's folded in half. You can see that is folded, and I'm measuring 22 inches from the edge of my selvage edge. So here's my selvage edge, and there's the edge of my fabric. It's 22 inches. So I've already drawn in, because I have a 2-inch ruler, that just makes it super easy for me because they're 2 inches wide. So I just use my ruler as a guide, and I drew all the way around my ruler, and I made my shape with, I used chalk, and I just drew my 2 inches wide by 22 inches long, and I used my ruler. Now I have to make 11 of these ruffles. So I'm gonna do another one right next to it. And I'm just, because I'm doing it right next to it, I only need to draw this one line on this side. And it makes it a little bit easier. And then I'm just going to keep doing that all the way across. And I'm going to measure and make sure that it's 22 inches. I don't want to, sometimes when you start doing something really fast, the measurements change. So I'm just double checking to make sure that it's still 22 inches long. So I have 3 drawn in now. I'm going to keep drawing. Oops. Careful, I just snagged my fabric. Yeah, so make sure you measure really carefully, because I was started to lose my number, because the fabric is not necessarily blocked, meaning that it's not on grain, it's not even. So you want to make sure that it's 22 inches all the way across. I'm just fixing mine. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need to do 6 more. So here I go. Oh, wait, no, you don't need to do, sorry, I made a mistake. I'm gonna write this down for you guys. You only need to cut 6 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I only need to do 1 more. Okay. So did everyone get that? You're gonna cut 6 strips that are 2 by 22 on the fold. So when they're unfolded, they're 2 inches by 44 inches. Did everyone get that, Carol, Melissa? 'Cause I made a mistake when I was talking. All right, so I have my 6 strips drawn out with chalk, just like this. So my fabric's on the fold. It's folded, and these strips are 2 inches wide and 22 inches long. So when they're unfolded, it's 44 inches. And I have 6 of them, and I'm going to cut them out right now.
Amy,
Yes,
you said 11, so we need only 6?
you only need 6. I'm sorry, I misspoke.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Carol and Melissa, did you guys get that revision that I made? I know Raj did. She just
Yes.
Okay. So I just finished cutting out 1 strip. It's folded in half. I'm going to put it aside. And I'm going to keep cutting. Putting my second strip down. Oh, you guys, I messed up. These strips are supposed to be on the fold. So don't cut the fold because you want them to be 44 inches long when you open them up. Okay. Actually, I didn't make a mistake. Sorry. Yeah, please forgive. I guess I didn't drink enough coffee this morning.
I'm sorry, what did you just last said? I know you said not to cut on the fold, but
I thought I made a mistake, but just go ahead and cut your strips and don't cut the fold yet. If you already have, it's okay, you can. You didn't make a mistake.
okay.
Okay, I finished cutting my strips. I have, oh, someone just joined. I have 6 strips, okay? So I went ahead and I already cut my fold. So let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have 6 of these strips and I cut my fold already. I thought I made a mistake, but I didn't. So everything's right. You can go ahead and cut your fold, because what you want to do is you have a 44-inch strip and you want to cut it in half. So because we're going to have, we want them to be 22 inches.
Oh, you do want them to be 22, not
Yes.
double.
Yep. You do want them to be, I do want them to be 22 inches.
So there should be, in the end, 12 pieces of 22 by 2.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to let you guys get a little caught up. I see Rebecca has just joined. Hi, Rebecca. Welcome to the Sewing Club. I'm Amy. Hello. We've already started. I'm your instructor. I'm not sure if I've met you before. We've already started. We've got a big project today, so we're getting to work on that.
Yes, good morning, Amy. I'm sorry to get late because I just found out that I have to buy the fabric, so I went to buy it.
Oh, I recognize your voice.
Yeah, it's me. So, but I can follow you. I don't want you guys. Just keep going. I can follow you guys. That's fine. Thank you.
Okay. I'll try. What I'll do is I'll resend. Because you just joined, so you don't have the information
Okay.
on what to cut, because there isn't a pattern. There's no pattern. You're just going to cut a square, or it's actually a rectangle. Do you have the pillow form?
Yes.
The 12 by 16?
Yes.
Okay. I'll send this to you. It's 13 inches by 17 inches.
Okay. Just inches by 17. A square, right?
Yeah, it's kind of a rectangle.
Okay.
So you'll cut out on your fabric a 13 by 17 inch rectangle. You need 2 pieces.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
you're gonna cut it right sides together so that you end up with 2 pieces like this.
Okay.
This is what we're making today. So you're cutting out this body fabric for your pillow.
Okay.
We're already working on the ruffles right now. We're cutting out these strips.
Okay. Thank you.
I just sent the measurements to you, to everyone. I'll send you the strips as well.
Thank you. Two pieces. Okay.
All right, so
Jesus try. 2 inches, 14, 2 inches, and
so after you've cut out all your strips, you cut them in half, and then you have 12 2 by 22 inch strips. That's where everyone should be. Now we're going to start pinking. So Rebecca, you were a little late. I told everyone that they're going to need pinking shears today. So I'm sorry it wasn't in the materials list. I forgot to add it, but you will need pinking shears. If you don't have pinking shears, You're probably just gonna have to go with sort of a raw edge look.
Yeah, I think I have those scissors. Yeah.
All right, so if you're following along with me, here's all my strips. And I've already cut them in half, so they're 2 inches by 22. Sorry for all my mistakes this morning. So now we're gonna pink one edge of the ruffle. So my ruffle is actually directional because I have this print. So I want the edge on the bottom to be pinked. So this, if you look at the pillow, this edge here on the bottom of the ruffle is pinked. So this is the gathered edge is at the top and the pinked edge is at the bottom. So this is the edge that we're pinking right now so that it doesn't fray. So if you want to pink them with 2 pieces together at the same time to be more efficient, you can. If you want to do one at a time, that's fine too. If you do double them up, just make sure, I've been cutting mine doubled up, and if they start to move a little bit, the bottom edge doesn't necessarily get pinked. So I'm going to pin mine together so they don't move. That's something that I learned. I'm sharing with you. So now I can cut 2 at a time and they won't move, and I can make sure that I get both the edges pinked. So now we're doing the pinking process, if you're following along. It's not a very technically difficult project. It's just a bit time consuming because all the ruffles take time. If you've never made ruffles before, then this is something new you get to learn. Pretty easy. You don't need any special attachments on your sewing machine. Some people have like special ruffler attachments and ruffle machine pieces, and they can make ruffles really fast. That's super cool, but you don't need to have that today. We're going to do it the old-fashioned way. If you have a plaid fabric, then you don't have to worry about the direction, which is kind of nice. But if you're using something else, maybe you couldn't find a plaid or you didn't have a plaid, and if you have a directional print, make sure you're pinking the bottom of edge. FYI, I know we cut out 12 ruffles, but we only need 11. So you don't have to pink all 12. That 12th one you can just put aside, maybe use it for something else.
You said you only pink one end, right?
Yes,
And the linked end, not the,
I'm sorry.
you cut, yeah. I was cutting while you're doing, you pinked the linked end.
The, is your print directional?
No,
Oh, you mean the long end?
yeah, the long end.
Yes, the long
Yeah.
end.
Okay.
Okay, it's me, Rebecca. I just find out that my pillow is 17 by 17, so I guess I have to cut that.
Yeah, you'll have to modify the pattern. So you want to make, you'll want to cut out 18 by 18.
Oh, so one more each extra. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome. My pinking shears are so stiff, they hurt to use. I need to get them sharpened.
Can you even sharpen pinking shears? Not really, right?
Yeah, you can go to the knife sharpening guy, you know, at the farmer's market.
Pinking shears, it seems like such a hard thing to do. There's so many blades, you know, like the stick solid.
I think they have like a machine.
Oh, wow.
I'm not sure how they do it. You only need 11 ruffles, so that extra one I'm just putting to the side, and I'm going to use for something else. This last 11th ruffle that I'm pinking right now, I'm also going to pink the top. So the other 10 ruffles are only pinked on the bottom, but this last the last 11th ruffle, I'm going to pink on both the top and the bottom. So that's the one I'm working on right now. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do both the top and the bottom.
But still only one end on the long side.
Yeah, you're not doing anything to the short sides yet. You're only working with the long sides.
No, I'm talking about your last one. So the last one, you're doing the ends as well?
No, oh, sorry, here's my camera. You're just pinking this side and this side, both sides on the last.
Oh, okay, got it.
Got it?
Both on the long side.
Yeah,
And the other ones, you just pink on one side of the long side.
correct.
Okay.
So again, I have 11 ruffles now. The 12th one, I have an extra one. I'm just putting that aside with my other extra fabric. And so I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 ruffles that are 2 inches by 22 inches. And I've pinked the bottom long edge of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. The 11th ruffle is different. I've pinked the top long side and the bottom long side. And I'm going to set that down. So now I have all my ruffles here. The next step is to finish these edges, the short ends here, this little short end on both sides. This is short end here and the short end here. We're going to turn them. We want to finish them so they're not raw. We're going to turn them over like this and sew them down. So I'm folding it a 1/4 inch. I'm just folding it back a 1/4 inch to the wrong side. And then we're going to stitch right along that folded edge about 1/8 of an inch to hold it down. So this next step is at the sewing machine, and it's going to be a long step. So you're going to camp out at your sewing machine and you're going to take all your strips, even that 11th one, all 11 of them, and you're going to fold. Sorry, another mistake. Stop, rewind. We're not going to take all 11. We're going to take 2 pieces and set them aside. So I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 strips. 2 of the strips are going to go away. We're not going to finish the edge. We're going to take those away and we're going to set them over here with your body fabric. And those are going to just sit there for now.
Is one of the 2 that special one that we did?
No, the special
special
one,
one.
the special one that has both edges pinked is still here.
Okay.
So what I have are, let me put them back so I can show you guys if I started misleading you. I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 strips. So there's 9 ruffles on this pillow. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 ruffles. That's what this is. These are your 9 ruffles. This one right here that's pink on the top and bottom that's different. That's this top ruffle here. We pinked the top edge so that it's because it's showing. It's showing, we don't want it all fraying. All right. So the other two that we set aside, these two that I had set aside, they're gonna make this little accordion pleat. So there's this extra little pleat on the pillow. It's very subtle, but it adds a little bounce to it. It just adds something to it. So this is, I'm calling this an accordion pleat. Don't worry about the accordion pleat. We set this aside. That's going to be the accordion pleat, but we're not doing it yet. So the accordion pleat is over here with the body. We don't need that right now. We're just working on these 9 ruffles. So I'm ready to go to the sewing machine. I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 ruffles. This 9th one is pinked along both the top long edge and the bottom long edge. So at the sewing machine, we're going to do what I was just telling you, is we're going to fold the little end over like this 1/4 inch and stitch right along the edge. So we're going to do that with both of these edges here. I'm going to
Do
do
you
one.
think we need to tuck it in one more so it's not like a loose, what do you call it? Like, you know how the ends would it fray?
No, you just need to fold it over 1/4 inch. You can just finger press it at the sewing machine. You don't even have to go to the ironing board. So I'll show you. I'm going to go to the sewing machine and I'm going to just fold this over like that. I'm going to stick the needle in right here and I'm going to stitch right here, back stitch the top, back stitch at the bottom. Then I'm going to do the other side. I'm just going to fold it 1/4 inch back, finger press it, put my needle in, back stitch, stitch down, back stitch. And I'm just going to do that with all 9 of these. And what it's going to do, it's going to create this finished edge on your ruffle here on the end. So both ends of the ruffle are finished. They don't have a raw edge poking out. Does everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, camping out at the sewing machine. I'm gonna get a drink of water.
Huh? They're my glasses. It's not tinted.
I'm gonna bring my computer over to you guys so that you can see how I do this. I'm just gonna show you, I'm gonna like demo once so you guys get the idea. And then I'm gonna I won't be doing the close-up. So again, I'm not even using the iron. I'm not even pinning it. I'm just folding it 1/4 inch underneath the wrong side. And I'm just using my fingers to finger press. If you want to measure and make sure it's measured, if you want to iron it or pin it, you can. I didn't really need to. It seemed to do okay without it. And there's so many that you're actually making. It's just faster to skip that. And I'm sewing right along that folded edge, so about 1/8 inch. And then I'm just back stitching top, and then I go all the way to the bottom and back stitch again. So it's that quick. We've got several of these to do. Takes a bit of time. So after I'm done doing this to all of the edges, then I'll iron them. But right now I'm just gonna sew them. So it looks like this when you finish sewing. Carol was concerned about this raw edge. She wanted to fold it twice. You don't need to fold it twice, just once is sufficient. So now I'm going to the other edge, fold it a 1/4 inch, finger press it. And same thing again. I recommend using some sort of matching thread, whatever color matches the most. Because the less you see of your thread, the more neat the project will look. So that's the other edge. When I'm done, I'll iron them, but right now I'm just setting them aside. Again, if you're more comfortable pinning them and ironing them before you sew them, that's fine. Be careful you don't go too close to the edge when you backstitch, because I did notice that it tends to jam. The fabric will kind of pucker up on you. It's just the nature of this project right now, this little step that we're doing. Does anyone have any questions?
Nope, just catching up.
Do any of you shop at West Elm or like West Elm or have heard of West Elm?
Sometimes.
This is a knockoff of a West Elm pillow.
Oh, okay.
So fancy schmancy. You get to make your own West Elm knockoff pillow. So I just got too close to the edge while doing this and my fabric got all bunched up, so I had to restart, but it does happen if you get a little too close to the edge. So after this step, then we're going to actually gather the strips of fabric. So again, camping out at the sewing machine, and I'll show you how to do that with a gathering stitch. I have 2 ruffles to go. I'll be right back. I have to go to the restroom. Does anyone have any questions before I go?
Nope.
I'll be right back. Okay. Back to finishing these edges. Last one. Okay, so I finished my edges and I'm going to iron now. Camera back over here. So after you sew all those edges over, these little short edges, fold them over. Then I like to iron them just to give them that sharpen up the fold a little bit. And space. Okay, so I have my 8 strips. They're ready to be gathered. And this is my 9th strip. It has the pinking shears on both sides. I'm going to gather all of these 9 strips. I'll show you how to do that. We're going to go to the sewing machine. If you've never done this before, some of you may have. And we're going to work with the raw edge, not the pinked edge. So this edge we're not using. Remember, this is the finished edge on the pillow, that pinked edge. What we're going to do now is we're going to do this edge. We're going to sew it on the sewing machine and gather it. So we're working with the raw edge. And you just stick the needle in here. And we're going to sew a stitch about a 1/4 of an inch from the edge. So here's my raw edge. I'm going to stick my needle in at beginning of the fabric, and I'm going to stitch a stitch line about 1/4 of an inch from the edge all the way down, all the way to the bottom. So when you're doing a gathering stitch, number one, you don't back stitch. So I know usually we back stitch. You put your needle in and you just start sewing. Put it in as close to the edge as you can. Here, I know you can't get all the way to the back, so just put it as close as you can. And you just stitch all the way down until you get to the end, stitch off the fabric. Don't back stitch, because then that defeats the purpose of a gathering stitch. So number one, you don't back stitch. Number two, you need to change the settings on your machine. So for a gathering stitch, you want, I'll show you when I go over to my machine what to do. You want to change the stitch length. So the stitch length is going to be longer, and the stitch tension, you might want to loosen the stitch tension a little bit. I'll show you that when I go to the machine. Does anyone have any questions before I start this next step?
Nope, I'm still sewing the ends part.
Oh, you are? Okay.
I'm almost done though.
Okay, good. Oh, my camera wants to spin today. All right, so on your sewing machine, for me, my tension is here, and I'm just gonna loosen it a little. So right here, between 3 and 5 is like average. I'm just gonna loosen it a little bit, a looser tension. And then over here, for me, is my stitch length. And I'm gonna bring my stitch length up to like 5, 5.5. No, 5 is as high as it'll go, so it's gonna be 5.
So the stitch length is 5 and your tension's at 3?
Yeah. So, but on your machine, it might be a little different. If you want to do a little, sorry about the camera. Oh no, it's not. That's why. Don't look right now, you guys. I have to screw this back on. Get busy. All right, technical difficulty resolved. There we go. Yeah, I mean, 5 for the stitch length should be fine. Tension of 3, a little less than 3 might be good. And then I'm just putting it in. There's 1 layer of fabric, and I'm putting my needle in about 1/4 of an inch from the raw edge. And again, I'm not going to back stitch. So I want to be even closer to the edge since I can't back stitch. 1/4 of an inch. And then I just stitch all the way across. So if you have a special gathering foot, it would automatically gather for you as you sew. since we're just doing it the old fashioned way, we're gonna have to do the gathering after we sew the stitch. So it's 2 steps. And I just sew off the edge like that. Now don't trim your threads short. You need, well, you can do it. If you make a mistake, it won't ruin it, but I like to leave my thread long. So instead of trimming my thread off right here, real short, I pull my thread out and I leave it long. So I have this nice long thread here, so it's easier to gather. We're going to use these threads. We're going to pull the threads together. So anyway, right now, this is the first step. You can set it aside after you stitch all the way across. You should have a nice fat, you know, a nice long stitch. I'm putting that aside and then I go to the next one. So my next one is my piece that's pink on both top and bottom. So this is going to be the very top ruffle. And for you guys that have a plaid or print that's not directional or solid, it doesn't matter which side you do the gathering on, but for me, mine is directional. So I want to make sure the gathering is at the top of the print.
What's the seam allowance? Is that a 1/2 inch?
A 1/4 inch.
A 1/4 inch, okay.
So again, I'm just pulling my threads really long and I'm cutting them long. So I have a nice long tail. And putting that on the side. Go to the next. Remember, we're not gathering the pink edge, we're gathering the raw edge up here. So this step should go pretty fast. The other step that we just did takes a little while to fold those edges. This one goes a bit faster.
You know, on the machine, there's like 2 settings. There's this, the stitch length, and then that other one that looks like a zigzag.
I'm sorry.
You know, on the sewing machine, there's 2 settings. You know, one for the stitch length, and then there's the other one that looks like a zigzag.
Oh yeah, that's the stitch width. That's if you have a zigzags. But we're
Okay, so
not-
I don't worry about those when it's straight stitch, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry, one more question. When you start that stitch, start and end of the stitch, you don't go all the way to the end, right? Do you kind of stop right where the end of that stitch is, where we folded under?
No, go right off the edge.
Go all the way to the edge.
Yeah, I just actually kind of sew off the edge.
Okay,
I just kept sewing until I was like off the edge like this. Like, I stop right at, I stop pushing on the pedal right at the end.
So do you kind of pull them at the end to gather? Is that what the idea is?
I'm sorry?
When we're to gather it, do you kind of pull at the string to gather? Is that
Yes.
the idea?
Yes. We will pull on the back string, the bobbin string.
I was wondering if I
Not there
should,
yet. Huh?
if we can, well, before I sold all of them, I want to make sure like I did this correctly on one of them. Can you demonstrate the pull to make sure that I did this correctly? Like my stitching's all correct?
Do you want to show me what you did? It should look like this. With strings at the end like that.
It does look like that, but when I try to pull, it doesn't really gather.
Yeah, but I have to show you how to do that, Carol.
Oh, no, I just mean, I want to make sure I did it correctly before I
Oh.
do all 8 or 10.
Oh, I hear you.
You know what I mean? Like,
I hear
I
you.
don't want to undo all of them if I did it incorrectly.
I get it. I get it. Okay. So to do the gathering, you're gonna pull on the bobbin side. So you don't pull the top thread. There's 2 threads, right? One's
Right,
on the top, one's on the back. So
yeah,
the bobbin thread, that's the thread that you pull on. And I just kind of wind it up in my finger and then gently pull like that. And it starts to slide just like this. So be very gentle because we're not using shearing thread. It's just regular thread and it will tear, it will rip. So the danger is that you pull too hard, it starts to snag, and you pull too hard and you rip it, and then you'd have to redo it. So you just want to pull really gently and gently use your fingers to push the gathers. You're just pushing the gathers like that. So I usually gather up like maybe half of it or a quarter of it from this side, and then I go to the other side and then gather from that end. Sometimes the threads are all like wound together, so I use a pin or my scissors to pull them apart like that. And then I'm using, again, you're pulling from the back, and I'll pull from the other side a little bit.
okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sorry.
So if for some reason you're having trouble pulling, like it feels like it's stuck, go to the other side and gather from the other side and get it going. And gather, and yeah, if both sides are stuck, then talk to me and we'll see what we can figure out.
Okay, so it is gathering, so at least I did it correctly. But if it feels a little tight, should I actually loosen the tension a little bit more? Would that have helped it?
Does it look like mine?
It does.
So it feels tight. What do you mean by that? When you're gathering it, when you're pulling?
So when I'm gathering it, if it is gathering, but like when I'm trying to get to the middle, like it feels kind of tight. I was wondering if I should loosen the tension. My tension's at 3. Should I try 2? Will it make it?
Yeah, definitely loosen the tension. Put it on 2 or 1.5. Good question.
Okay.
Very good questions, Carol.
All right.
I have another question. That's why you say don't do the back stitch so we can gather in.
Exactly. Yeah, if you
Okay.
backstitch, then it's locked and you can't pull on the threads,
Got it.
right?
Okay. Pull the streets.
So this is kind of what it starts to look like.
Mhm.
And then this is my other end that I started. Does that make sense to everyone? Does anyone have more questions? And you'll just leave the ends like this. Once you've finished getting it to the exact length that you want, then you can tie a knot. So what you do is you tie these two threads in a knot and that holds the gathering in place. But you don't need to do that yet. So now is a good time to take a little stretch break. I know we have 15 minutes of class. If you want to stay a little longer, if you can, I will go a little bit longer since we kind of need the extra time. The next step after gathering is doing the gathering stitch. I like to lay out my pillow piece, my body piece, as kind of a guide that's laying out next to me. And then now we're going to camp out at our table and we're going to pull these threads. So you have to do this with all 9. It takes a bit of time. I think definitely tonight we'll have some homework for everyone because we won't be able to finish the project unless I have you guys do some homework. So I'm gonna just camp out at my chair. We can talk. Some of you are still sewing. You'll be at your machine. And I'm just doing this, doing the gathering, getting the gathers to go all the way across. And I'm gonna do it for all of them. So the length of the gather, that's the next question, right? How long do I want this, or ruffle? How long do I want my ruffle to be? I will measure the ruffles that I completed. I did mine by eye. I laid them on, that's why I wanted you laid them on the pillow and laid them out like this. So, and you guys have different sized pillow forms, so everyone's gonna have kind of a different length for their ruffle. So that's why you're definitely gonna need to, this is where your creativity, your, a little bit of the eye, your designer eye comes into play. And I'm not gonna be able to give you like an exact measurement. You'll just kind of wanna figure out how long you want it to be. And if you wanna change the design a little, this particular, I'll email you guys a photo of the pillow that our inspiration piece, so you can look at that. But if you want to do your ruffles different, that's fine. I followed the picture, the inspiration picture, and I tried to make it, having a hard time today. I tried to make it exactly like the picture. But if you want to make your ruffles, right now the ruffles kind of like start short and then kind of expand and then get small. If you wanted to do something different where they're all long and then they just slowly get smaller, or use less ruffles or more ruffles, based on your pillow form, you can. I'm fine with you guys doing that. These little accordion pieces, if you want to put them in different places on the pillow, I'm fine with you doing that too. I kind of liked it like this. I followed the picture pretty much. For this pillow that I'm doing, I'm probably going to do pretty much the same thing because I like this. It turned out, I like the way it turned out. So this ruffle is a little bit too short. My bottom ruffles are about 12 and 11 inches long. My longest ruffle is it's 12. So 12. Yeah, 12 and 11, that's kind of the majority of my ruffles. So I'm gonna measure this one. So this one's a little short. It's only like 9. So I need to let out some of the gathers. So now this ruffle is like 10 and a half. So I'm just going to leave it at 10 and a half and put it aside and start gathering the other ones.
So do you have measurements for all of them, or you're
I
kind of
don't.
eyeballing it?
Yeah, I don't have measurements. That the inspiration project that I stole this from did not give measurements for the ruffles for the length. So I just eyeballed it on my pillow. And that's what I'm gonna have you, and you guys, you have a different size pillow, Carol, so you'll probably want to change it a little bit. But I can definitely measure my sample pillow and tell you what those are. So like I said, the bottom ruffles are like 12 and 11. The longest one is 12. So that's what I'm using as my guide right now. The shortest ruffle is is about 5. And I'm not knotting it yet. So when you figured out the final length, you just tie these 2 strings in a knot and that will secure the gather. I'm not doing that because I want to play with my ruffles. So in fact, I didn't knot any of my gathers when I sewed my sample. I just left it open. They didn't come out. That's the only problem, is like they might start to come apart.
I have a quick question before I forget to ask, like, and this kind of goes back into the beginning. But you know how we cut our pillowcase? Where are we supposed to pink again? It was pinking the bottom, right?
Yes. The ruffles? Oh, you mean the pillow, the
The
body.
pillow, yeah.
Yeah, you
the
want to
bottom.
pink the bottom. That's where the zipper is going to go.
So pink the whole bottom. Yeah,
Yeah.
just pink the whole bottom part.
Yeah, both pieces, both the front and the back.
Okay.
So you're just kind of fiddling with it to spread the gathers out because you want them to be evenly distributed. And that's all just by eye. I mean, to me, this is the fun part. I like this part. And I'm just laying my ruffles on my pillow at this point, just kind of to see how it looks. So I think homework will be to finish gathering your ruffles and get them laid out on your pillow piece, this piece here, because we're going to sew them to this piece. So you want to finish ruffling / gathering, lay them out, arrange them the way you want, all 9 of them, and pin them to the body, this body fabric. So remember, this edge is raw, this bottom edge is pink. This is the bottom. And that edge should be pink, and the top is raw. So for next week, when we come back together, everything should be laid out and pinned. I'm going to show you how to do the little accordion pieces right now so that you can do that for homework too. And I'd like you to actually start sewing some of those ruffles on, but I need to show you how to do that. I'll just show you how to sew them on next week. It's going to be cutting it short because we have to put in the zipper too. So we'll have to work really fast next week. I'll try to go at a little faster pace. And if you guys can't keep up, or, things happen, you'll just have to maybe watch the video because I don't think I'll be able to stop that much next week. So I can show you everything. I'm going to finish this ruffle and then I'll show you guys the accordion. So the goal of the ruffle placement is to start with a shorter ruffle. So this first ruffle is measure it for you, is 11 inches. And then the next ruffle above it is a little bit longer. And you want to place the ruffle so that the ruffle above covers, you want it to hide the gathering of the one below it. And I'm just kind of centering it above the first ruffle. So the ruffle above it is 11 inches as well. And then the next ruffle on top of that is going to be long as well, a little bit longer. So that ruffle is, that ruffle's about 10 and a half, actually. I'm gonna do one more. So the ruffles start shorter and then it gets, the one on top is a little longer, and then this one's supposed to be a little longer. And then they start getting shorter again. So they start out small, kind of widen, and then they go small again. So I just made a ruffle that's quite a bit longer, and I'm replacing, because I want to keep that same shape where it's, and then I'm replacing it with this one at the top. And you guys, if you want to veer from the design in the picture and make yours, you know, something that you look like that looks prettier to you, that's fine. I like the way this looks, so I'm kind of sticking with the same look of the picture.
When you're laying it out, are you doing it from bottom to top or top to bottom?
Bottom to top. Work
Bottom
from,
to top.
yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
work from bottom to top.
But you said there was 2 more pieces that go on the bottom at the end, right? That we haven't done anything with.
Work from bottom to top. What 2 pieces? Huh? What?
You know how you said put 2 pieces aside?
Yeah, I'm going to show you what to do with those right now.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right, so for homework, you guys are going to finish doing your gathers and laying them out. I want you to have them all laid out on your pillow and pinned into place, ready to sew. So they'll be laid out and pinned into place. You don't have to sew them yet. If you feel like you know what to do and you want to start sewing them, you can. Sewing them on, you start at the bottom. So we're always starting at the bottom. Start pinning them, laying them out, start with the bottom. Lay this ruffle out first, then lay that ruffle out on top and the next and the next. Start at the bottom. You're going to sew them on the same way. You're going to start at the bottom. So you're going to sew this one on first and then the one on top on. Sewing them on is just sewing, you're putting a needle in and sewing right on top of that stitch, pretty much that gathering stitch that you made. You're just sewing on top of it and the ruffle should hide that. But I'll show you how to do that next week. I don't want to throw too much at you. As long as you have everything laid out and pinned, that's good. And I'll show you how to do these two right now so you can have that ready. So these are the two that we set aside. What you're going to do is cut them in half. So I'm just matching them up and folding them and cutting them in half. So now you have 4 2-inch wide by 11 pieces. And these are the little accordions that I was telling you about. So I'll do one and show you how to do it. I'm gonna put these aside. So you just take it and you start folding it like an accordion, right side up. You want this bottom layer to be 1.5 inches wide. So if I take my ruler and measure, that's about 1.5 inches wide, this fold. And then I'm just going to continue to fold underneath. And what you want to do is you want to stagger the edges. You kind of want these edges to show, to kind of peek out. You don't want it to be perfectly behind each other. You want them to sort of peek out. So 1.5 inches. There, so that's how it looks. So these are peeking out here at the bottom. You want that. You don't want them to be folded perfectly on top. And now I'm just going to pin it to hold them all together. And then what I want you to do is go to the sewing machine and put your needle in here at the top. This is the bottom where the pink edges are. At the top, you're going to sew just a base, just a little stitch line right across here. It's just a holding line, just to hold these together. So you'll stitch right across the top. Make sure you get all the layers. And it's just a holding stitch. So it holds all the pieces together so they don't come apart. So I want you to have that done, because after it's stitched at the top, then you can place it on your pillow. So you'll just figure out where you want it and you'll tuck it. It gets tucked underneath the ruffles like that and sewn on your sewing machine into place. Okay, does anyone have any questions on the little accordions? You have to do 4 of these.
Quick question about we use a basting stitch, right? Or does it matter what stitch we use?
It doesn't matter. I just used my regular straight sewing stitch. I didn't like change the tension or anything. Or the stitch length. I just sewed a stitch across just to hold it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the 9 pieces that we already sewed, that should make up the whole ruffle part. This just kind of adds extra padding to give it dimension, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And remember to kind of stagger when you're laying these ruffles in place, stagger the edge so it shows. It looks better. Otherwise, it's just like, why is that there? You know, it looks better to kind of have it staggered out. So does anyone have questions about the homework?
I do.
Yes.
So we're gonna pin the ruffles through the pillow part, but we don't going to close the pillow, right, yet?
Oh yeah, no, we're not, we
No.
haven't done the zipper yet. So,
Not even the sides. No.
no, you're just gonna pin the ruffles to this one piece of fabric. This is the
Okay.
front. Yeah,
Oh, the front. Oh, okay.
yeah, because there's two sides, right? There's the front and then there's the back,
Right.
sewn together. So
Right.
this is the front. First, we're gonna attach the ruffles to the front.
Oh, okay.
Then once the front is finished, then we can attach the front to the back.
Oh, okay. Because mine, I didn't cut two pieces. I cut the whole piece because, you know, the fabric falls. So you don't have to stitch that part, right? So I have the whole piece.
Oh,
You
I
know what I mean?
recommend, I don't recommend doing that. I recommend having two separate pieces because
Oh,
it'll
okay.
just be harder to work with this. It's harder to work with, it'll be harder to work with that big long piece. The zipper
Okay.
goes at the bottom too.
Yes, okay.
So I'm not exactly sure how you cut it, but the opening is going to be at the bottom. So it'll just be simpler to have the two separate
Two
pieces,
pieces. Got it. Okay, thank you.
just based on the way that I've planned to teach it to you guys. Sorry.
No, it's fine. Thank you.
Any other questions? Oh, on these accordions, I just noticed something. Start with this end and fold it like that and go like this. I started with this end and then I ended up with the raw edge on front. I don't know, it's up to you. I liked it better starting at this end. I think it looks better. And folding it from this end like that, and then the folds are all underneath. Any other questions? Are you guys done sewing that stitch line for the gathers?
No, I just started watching. Since I already know what to do with those, I know I could do that on my own. So I'm just watching you do this part.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Do you think that's a good amount of homework? Can you guys get those pinned out and ready for sewing next week? Or not next week, but the week after?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm sorry, did you say you actually wanted us to pin it to the pillowcase?
Yeah, I definitely want you to pin the ruffles into place. I want you to have your final placement ready to go, ready to sew. I want you to have these guys placed. You'll want to have them like sitting, sorry, my hands are in the way. You'll want to have them sitting like right at the top of the ruffle. And it's up to you. If you want to push it up higher, you can, or have it lower, you know, just
But
do
does it make it hard to sew if we have all these layers of ruffles all the way up?
No, because you're not sewing on top of the ruffle. I mean, you're not sewing two ruffles on top of each other.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is your question regarding the thickness or regarding just the difficulty?
The logistics, yeah, like so there's what nine layers of ruffles that go all the way up. So if I pin all 9 layers, and I know I have to sew from the bottom up, like is it gonna get in the way to try to sew that a layer at a time?
No, just no, it won't, because you're gonna just push with your finger the ruffle up, and you're gonna put your needle in here, and you're gonna sew, and you're just gonna hold the ruffle up and sew like that. So
Okay.
remember, we're always starting at the bottom. So if we were to start sewing this on right now, we would just start stitching, pulling out our pins, stitch, and you just use your hand to pull the ruffle up.
Right, but we would have all these layers of ruffles above that one that we're sewing.
Yeah, it's not a difficulty.
It's not difficult. Okay, I've never done it. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's not difficult. The only thing that I'm worried about is if you guys get this all pinned, I don't want you to have to take the pins out and rearrange it. So I want to make sure that you guys know where to place the ruffles on the pillow. So remember that there's a 1/2 inch seam allowance here at the bottom.
Yeah.
So you've got to start your ruffles up. You know, you want to leave that 1/2 inch seam allowance. So the bottom of this ruffle should be, let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5/8 above this edge. You know, even 3/4. I would make sure it's 3/4 of an inch. Let's do 3/4. So make sure that the edge of your bottom ruffle is at least 3/4 of an inch from the bottom edge, because that's where your zipper's going and there's seam allowance. And then up here at the top, your top ruffle, let's see. So the top ruffle looks like this. I'm sending you the photo so you guys can use that as a guide. But the ruffles start to turn in kind of like that. So you want to make sure that this is far enough from the edge, because there's the seam is here, there's seam allowance too. So let's see. So 1 1/4 inch from the edge. So this top piece here, let's see if I can lay it out for you guys on this. So the accordions, I've explained that to you. I think you guys get that, right? I explained where to position the bottom ruffle. So now the top ruffle. So let's pretend this is my top ruffle. And this is my top edge, and there's a 1/2 inch seam allowance here. So let me make this the top ruffle is gathered really tight. So the other ruffles, like the top 2 or 3 ruffles, are really tight. So did you guys write those measurements down? Or you'll have the video, but I measured them for you. And
Can you repeat that measurement? I'll write it down.
I mentioned it in the video.
Okay. We'll watch it.
Here.
I think you said 5 inches.
5 inches, yeah, it's 5 inches. So you're gonna have to curl it, because to get that look, it gets kind of curled like this. And let's see, these little corners here, the end, I kept it 1.5 inches from the raw edge. So when these edges, the ruffle naturally curls like this, and those ends curl up. I made sure that that top corner of my ruffle, this right here, is 1 inch. It's 1.5 inches from the raw edge. If you want to move it up a little closer, you know, a 1/4 inch or so, because I remember when I was doing this one, I spent a lot of time arranging the ruffles and getting them where I wanted them to be. So if you feel like you need to push this up a little bit to get the look that you want, you know, and adjust everything, that's fine. But just remember that there's a 1/2 inch seam allowance right here. So we're going to be stitching this to the other side. So don't go into that 1/2 inch seam allowance. So I think that's everything you guys need to know. You should be able to pin those ruffles on, get them the way you want them, because that's really kind of just creative, how you want them, and then place your accordions where you want them, have it all pinned so that we can actually sew it all on at the next session. So, and then after we sew everything on, then we're going to put in the zipper. So we're going to lay out the zipper, iron out the coil. I know I mentioned teaching you guys a zipper technique for the invisible zipper. I did a bunch of research on that, and I don't like that technique. It requires having a special tool and all this. So I like my technique that I've been doing for ages, and I'm gonna have you guys do that. I'm gonna make you guys baste it. I know it takes longer, but basting it just makes it look better, and it's so much easier to sew when it's basted into place. So just be ready to go at it. Once the zipper's in, then we just sew up the sides and it's all done. So it does take a long time to sew the ruffles on. So we'll just have to see how it goes.
Hey, Amy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to go, and thank you, and I will see you. When is the next class?
Let me see. It's on the 18th.
Okay. Bye.
Bye, Raj. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Here. Happy holidays.
You too. We are going to meet before.
Yes.
Okay. Bye.
Any more questions?
No, thank you.
I'm trying to think it through what you guys might need to know. I'll send that photo. I think that's really important. You have the photo, right?
Yeah, the photo of your pillow. Yeah.
I'll send you my photo, my pillow, and I'll send you the original photo.
Yeah.
All right. Good luck.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you.